what's going on, guys? It's J-Mass, and this is episode 1 of a brand new series on the channel where I'm going to be visiting and exploring every single Trustees of Reservations property here in Massachusetts. Now, as of recording this, the Trustees of Reservations has well over 120 properties scattered throughout the state of Massachusetts, and I already have been to quite a few of them. In fact, my family and I have been visiting Trustees of Reservations properties for several years now. I absolutely love them. I think a lot of these properties are fascinating. And in this new series, I'm going to be taking you guys along with me. I'm going to give you guys the history, show you all the sites and landmarks, and of course, give you my own personal travel experiences. So why don't you guys join me on this new series as we explore every single Trustees of Reservations property here in Massachusetts. Now, since this is episode 1, I'm going to give you guys a brief overview of what the Trustees of Reservations actually are, and then we're going to get started with our very first property. So let's do it. The Trustees of Reservations is a nonprofit conservation and preservation organization based in Massachusetts, owning and preserving sites all throughout the state. Their mission is as follows, quote, "The Trustees of Reservations preserve, for public use and enjoyment, places of exceptional scenic, historical, and ecological value. As of June 2026, the trustees have 122 properties under their ownership, totaling to 27,000 acres, located all throughout Massachusetts. Founded in 1891 by landscape architect Charles Eliot, the trustees have been acquiring, preserving, and conserving land throughout the state for well over a century. In fact, the trustees are the world's first land conservation nonprofit organization, with their oldest property, Rocky Narrows in Sherborne, acquired in 1897. The Trustees of Reservations continues to acquire properties throughout the state, from the rugged hills in the Berkshires to the beachfront coastline of Martha's Vineyard to the vast woodlands along the Charles River. If you'd like to support the trustees in their mission, you can become a member, as my family and I have been for several years now. So with that out of the way, we're going to get started and explore our very first Trustees of Reservations property of the series, that being Tantiusques, here in the town of Sturbridge, Massachusetts. I'm excited to bring you guys along with me and explore this beautiful property. So without further ado, let's get started and see what Tantiusques has in store. As soon as you pull up to the small dirt parking lot for this property, you'll be greeted by the iconic light blue Trustees of Reservations sign, welcoming you to Tantiusques. This small dirt parking lot serves as the main trailhead entrance, located along a quiet rural street known as Lead Mine Road. Situated entirely within the town of Sturbridge, Massachusetts, Tantiusques is one of the trustees' most underrated properties, rich in both regional history and scenic natural beauty. The name Tantiusques, which I've seen pronounced both as Tantiusques and as Tantiusques, comes from the local Nipmuc indigenous peoples who resided in the area long before European settlers arrived. This Nipmuc word roughly translates to the place between two low hills, or to a black deposit between two hills. The black deposit in question is graphite, which can be found in abundance on the site. The Nipmuc often used this graphite for ceremonial paints, which they called black lead. Aside from graphite, lead and iron could also be found in the area, and it was this rich abundance of raw materials that soon interested the European settlers. The resource-rich region was first purchased in 1644 by John Winthrop Jr., son of John Winthrop, who was one of the founders of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, as well as its then governor. Winthrop Jr. immediately developed a commercial mining operation on the site, extracting the big three materials found in Tantiusques: graphite, lead, and iron. The Winthrop family retained ownership of this mine well until 1784. By then, the mine was suffering financial difficulties and ever-decreasing mining output. While it is unclear what happened to the mine and surrounding property after 1784, we do know that it was purchased once again in 1828, this time by Boston businessman and merchant Frederic Tudor. Tudor had already made a name for himself as Boston's so-called Ice King, having founded the internationally successful Tudor Ice Company. Thus, the business-savvy Tudor had no trouble operating the graphite mine, shipping well over 30 tons of raw graphite to Boston annually, which was then used for other productions and services. He operated this mine until 1860, just before his death in 1864. Perhaps the most famous name to come from Tantiusques was inventor and entrepreneur Joseph Dixon. Alongside his son, the two worked at the graphite mine while it was still owned by Tudor. Having learned much about the graphite trade from his time spent at Tantiusques, Dixon would go on to found the Joseph Dixon Crucible Company in New Jersey, a major graphite manufacturer. In fact, by 1870, the company was the world's largest manufacturer, seller, and consumer of graphite products. In 1982, the J.D. Crucible Company merged with the Bryn Mawr Corporation in Pennsylvania, forming the Dixon Ticonderoga Company. This company is well known for its bright yellow No. 2 graphite pencils, which are used worldwide, still to this day. Of course, many other people worked at the graphite mines during Tudor's ownership. One man who was personally chosen by Tudor as the mine's trusted foreman was Guy Scott, a man of both black and indigenous ancestry. Despite notions of the time, Scott was a free man, earning a decent living that allowed him to support his large family and their beautiful home. One of his children, his eldest daughter, Diantha, would go on to marry Robert Crowd, who was also a man of black and indigenous ancestry. Crowd worked at the mine throughout the 1850s, living on the property in his own home. In fact, the ruins of Crowd's home can still be seen today, which we'll check out soon. By 1910, the graphite mining at Tantiusques had permanently ended, and nature soon reclaimed the site. Still, remnants of the mining can be found all over, including dugout rocky trenches and a mine shaft. Tantiusques was officially acquired by the Trustees of Reservations in 1962 through Roger Chaffee, given in memory of George H. Haynes, his professor at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, who published a history on Tantiusques in 1902. In 1983, Tantiusques was placed on the National Register of Historic Places. Aside from the history, one of the joys of this site is the hiking loop that weaves through the woods. One can take the 0.8-mile-long lead mine loop, which takes you through a bulk of the property. The official property sign out front provides a map. As you can see, part of the forest is maintained under the Lead Mine Wildlife Management Area, which borders the trustees' property, but is not affiliated with them. The trail is pretty smooth and moderate, and it's an all-around easy hike. That being said, there is a brief steep section by the entrance, at the bend in the loop. During this hike, you'll see a plethora of flora and fauna. I could both see and hear many birds throughout my hike, and the forest echoed with their coos, chirps, and caws. Near the old mine shaft, I saw many frogs cooling off in the water, hanging out and swimming around. In terms of plants, however, as you may have noticed throughout the video, one in particular reigns supreme: Kalmia latifolia, better known as mountain laurel. These beautiful white flowers were clustered everywhere along the entire Lead Mine Loop trail. Seriously, I could not go 30 seconds without seeing a brand new grove of mountain laurel bushes. They really stand out amid the surrounding lush greenery, and I loved seeing them bunched together in compact groves. Aside from these flowers, the forest is filled with oak, hickory, red maple, and hemlock trees. The thing Tantiusques is best known for are the ruins and remnants of the graphite mines, which can still be seen today. The most iconic spot is the old mine shaft by the trailhead, which has been closed off with a metal grate to prevent entry. While you can still peer inside to get a closer view, the direct entrance to the mine shaft is quite flooded due to poor drainage. Even when filming this video, which was during a severe drought here in Massachusetts, I struggled to safely navigate to the mine shaft, which was guarded by thick mud and standing water by the very front. Just a bit further up, an open rocky trench can be found, although this one is completely accessible and can be walked right into. At one point, this trench followed a vein of graphite, which the mine workers slowly but surely extracted, creating an open mine. Just north of the hiking loop is the Crowd Homestead site, featuring the ruins of Robert Crowd's home. Unfortunately, the trail here was slightly overgrown, but I managed to find the home ruins quite easily. As you can see here, This is the stone cellar hole that was once part of Crowd's home, where he and his family lived, directly adjacent to the mine where he worked. It is small and quite overgrown, but it leaves a deep impression in the earth and can be quite easily spotted. There are also stone ruins of a barn nearby, which I believe are these ruins here. There is also supposedly an old well somewhere in this property as well, but I was unable to locate it. Overall, I absolutely adore Tantiusques, and it has a little bit of everything I like to see in a trustee's property. The 0.8-mile lead mine loop is an easy yet fun hike, bringing you beautiful sights and sounds as you navigate throughout the lush woods. Occasionally, you'll stumble upon remnants of the graphite mines, harkening back to the site's rich mining history, which had an undeniable impact on American culture. While I was hiking the loop, I stumbled upon a few other hikers, with some even walking their dogs. This is a perfect hike for dog walking, as long as they're leashed. Parking, while modest, is nowhere near an issue, and the entrance is quite easy to find along the aptly named Lead Mine Road. If you ever find yourself in Sturbridge, I would absolutely give this former mine a visit. Go for a nice hike and check out the abandoned mine shaft and Crowd homestead ruins. And, of course, enjoy the abundance of beautiful mountain laurel. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. I've been J-Mass as always, and this has been episode 1 of my brand new series where I'll be visiting and exploring every single Trustees of Reservations property here in Massachusetts. Of course, starting off with Tantiusques here in the town of Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Now, I absolutely love Tantiusques. It's a beautiful property with a lot of excellent flora and fauna to see, and of course, the iconic abandoned lead mines. So I hope you guys had as much fun as I did exploring this property, and of course, there are many more to go. There are well over 120 Trustees of Reservations properties, and this is only episode 1 of many. So I hope you guys join me for future episodes. If you want to see them, definitely subscribe to the channel. I do want to give a major shout out to all my channel members. You can see them all right here. You guys are awesome. And I'd love it if you too, viewer of this video, considered becoming a channel member as well. You'd be supporting me and the channel directly, and I truly appreciate it. Or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. But I've been JMass as always, Trustees of Reservations, Tantiusques, Sturbridge, Massachusetts. And I think that's it for episode 1. I'll see you guys soon on episode 2.